If I have it, I have it all, I have it all. Even when I fall, you won't let me fall. Hi everyone, and welcome to today's class. Hmm, I'm so happy to be here. I want to thank you so very much for having found out time to join us in today's class. Now, the song I started with just taught me that when you're growing, you have to be consistent and you have to be disciplined for you to grow. With consistency and discipline, you're definitely going to grow. You're definitely going to achieve that dream you have set for yourself. So it is with mastering our accounting class. Accounting requires time, and so you have to be consistent by ensuring that you go through whatever you're taught. By doing that, you're going to master everything about it, and you see yourself growing, growing, growing. All right, just a little pep talk before we start our class today. My name is Ngozi Kajidobi. I produce, prepare, and present accounting tutorials for those writing ICANN exams, MBA, YX students, and every normal accounting person who wants to ensure that he or she knows how to keep records. I got you. And if that sounds like you, I want to encourage you to please kindly consider subscribing to this channel because I want to assure you that there is no video on YouTube that makes accounting very, very easy. My specialty is in helping people that find accounting difficult and make accounting very, very simple, practical, and fun. All right. So today we'll be talking about how to balance our ledger accounts. In our previous accounting series, we've covered daybook, how to prepare your ledger account. But today we'll be focusing on how to balance our ledger account. But before I go into that, I want to just give us a brief recap of some things that are going to help us in today's class. And I want to really, really encourage you. If you have not watched my previous videos, kindly go back and watch those videos so that you can flow with today's class because those previous videos are the building block of today's class. Just when you build a building, you have to start with the foundation, and then on that foundation, you put the pillar, and then the building will now stand firm and strong. So you need to go and learn all those foundational topics we talked about. There are not a lot, about 5 or 6 of them, but with patience on your side and going through them bit by bit, you will see that you're going to understand everything because I make it very, very simple. And if any area, if you find any area difficult, please just send me a DM and I'll be so glad to attend to your request. All right, so today we're talking about how to balance our ledger account. I know that this topic is very, very difficult. Not difficult, but most times students find it confusing because most times when you do your posting and then you feel you posted correctly, and yet the account hasn't balanced, you'll be asking yourself what went wrong. Or even though you posted correctly, but you cannot balance the account. So if you find yourself in such a situation, then this is the video for you to watch so that you can be clarified on how to post correctly and how to balance your account. Now, your account would not balance if you don't do what? If you don't post correctly, do not balance accurately. Your account will not balance if you don't know how to balance the account. There's a procedure that you should follow when trying to balance your account. And that's what I'm going to teach us in today's class. But before I delve into that particular topic, I want to continue from our previous class where we talked about ledger accounts. In our previous class, we discussed how to post to your ledger account. We discussed which account to debit, which account to credit. We said that you debit the account that is what receiving the value. Value here could mean money, as the case may be, or goods that you have purchased. Are we together? While you credit the account given the value. That is the account giving the cash, as the case may be, or giving the goods. Now, I want us to be very, very practical so that accounting can be easy for us. That is what I like to do. Now, if you're in a business, what scenario would present someone to be having been what scenario would present someone to be the one giving value or giving goods? I want you to just sit down for 2 seconds and try to think which scenario would require someone to give me goods or give me money. All right, let me help you. Now, if you're a supplier and you supply goods to your customer, in that case, you're the one giving. Are we together? You're the one giving goods. So therefore, it means that your supply account is the account you would have to do what? Credit. Are we together? Now, if you also have to pay for something, in that case, you that is paying, your account will what? Will be credited because you're what? Giving naira, giving cash, giving value. So once you see yourself in this scenario, it means you're going to credit those accounts. But in a situation whereby you're the one receiving the value, receiving cash or receiving goods as the case may be, then you have to debit that account. So let's say, for instance, your customer pays you 10,000 naira cash. Let us do our accounts properly. So customer pays you 10,000 naira cash. So the first thing I'll ask myself is, which account am I going to open? So I have my cash account, and then I have my customer account. So customer is giving me what? 10,000 naira cash. So it means I'm going to debit this account. Are we together? So you write our proper content of our ledger account. You have your date, that is the date the transaction occurred, the particulars, which is the narration of what transpired. Then you have your folio, which is like a reference number, and then you have the amount. So what you have here on the debit side, you're going to have the same thing on the credit side, on the right hand side. So the day the transaction occurred, let's write that in full. This seems to have more space. Particulars, folio, and the naira amount. So if the transaction occurred, say, on the 1st of January, so give me a second. Let me just adjust my camera so that you can see me better. Yes, so if it occurred on the say 1st of January, so I have 1st of January here. So let's just say 1st January is the date, and the amount is what? 10,000 naira. Let's start with that. I want us to start this in detail that we're not just, I don't want us to get confused. I like to flow step by step so that we can understand what we are doing. So let me use the letter D for date so that we can see clearly. So D stands for date. Okay, so 10,000 naira. Are we together? You come to your customer account, you do the same thing, the date, the particular, which is the narration of what transpired, your folio number, and the naira sign. The same thing here, date, particular, which is the narration of what transpired, your folio, and your naira sign. This is how every account looks like. The debit side, and the credit side. So now, because the customer is the one giving the value in this case, you're going to do what? Credit the 10,000 naira. So you come here and write 10,000 naira. On the credit side, are we together? The date is still 1st of what? January. Now, what do you write in this particular? Like I said, particular is the narration of what transpired. But in accounting, or rather in ledger accounts proper, what we're going to write in this particular is the corresponding account. That is the other account that you either debited or credited, as the case may be. Now, in this case, this is the customer account, right? So you have credited your customer account. What is going to be in your particular is the corresponding account. You understand? Which is this cash account. Every transaction would always and most times involve two accounts. So what you're going to write in the particular is the other account, the name of the other account. So in this case, our other account is our cash account. So you come here and say cash. That is what you're going to see in your particulars, and follow, you just put dash. The same thing here. The corresponding account for your cash account is your customer account. And the right terminology for customer account is called debtors account. Alright, together. So when a customer comes to your shop, and let's assume when he came initially, he didn't have money to buy, he didn't have money to pay for what he purchased from you. Are we together? Now, because he didn't have money, that person is a debtor. So now he now has cash to pay you the things he bought from you on credit. And that's the scenario I'm painting here. This customer came in and bought the goods worth 10,000 naira, but didn't have cash to pay. But now he has the cash to pay. So that's the scenario I'm painting here. Customer pays his cash for 10,000 naira for goods worth 10,000 naira that he purchased earlier. I should have said that. Don't be offended. So this is the recording of goods that were sold initially, but were sold what on credit. Now the customer now has cash. He has come to pay you his money, pay your money. So you're going to have what your cash account. You're going to record your customer account, which is also known as the debtors account. That is the right accounting terminology. But I use customer account so that we understand it easily. So come here and write debtors account. Now, if you know the name of the customer, his name should be included, John, because in business, several persons might be owing you money. So it's always good that you not just write debtors account, you write the name of the customer. Are we together? Now, this is how you do your posting. So I'm using this just to cite an example of the account to debit, the account to credit, how you do it while you're debiting this account, while you're crediting this account. Are we together? So with this, you have posted correctly. And like I said in my previous slide, there are laws that guides how you post. You debit the account receiving the value, or the account receiving the goods, and credit the account giving the value, or the account giving the goods. Some people also say that besides in this particular law, there are also other ways you can know which account to debit and credit. And I thought that's my previous class, but I'll give us a recap of it. That law states that when your assets, let's say your chair, your wardrobe, your furniture, your machine, they increase, you're going to do what? Debit the asset account. We've talked about this in our previous class, but I'm trying to give us a recap so that we can have a pictorial view of how to debit and how to credit correct. That's why I'm giving us this other back end story or other stories, as the case may be. Then whenever you have your expenses, let's say you have to pay for light bill or salary, and they increase, you're going to do what? Debit those accounts. What that simply means that in the case of your assets increase, you're going to debit your asset account. So let's use this case for instance. So let's say you had assets, you just bought new assets. Oh, what 5,000 naira. So you come here and write what assets account. You come and write asset account. And so you're going to debit it. It'll be on this side. So let's say it's your machine, for instance, and then you paid cash for it. So you're going to have your cash account here. The amount is 5,000 naira, 6,000 naira. So you're going to debit your asset account. Are you together? Same with your expense. If it was an expense that increased, maybe you have to pay for salary, for instance. So you're going to come and write salary account. You now debit it. So let's say salary that you paid, maybe 50,000 naira worth of salary you paid for. You paid it, okay? You didn't have your cash account. Are we together? So these are the instances you're going to debit the account. When is an asset increasing, or salary is increasing, or just occurs currently, and as long as it's not the reverse, that is your assets are not being disposed. If assets are being disposed, it means they are what? Reducing. So instead of debiting, you do what? Credit. And then if your expenses are now reducing, are we together? Instead of increasing, let's say you had trying to figure out typical example. I'll try and figure out some, but what I'm trying to make is that whenever your expenses reduces for a particular reason, you're going to do what? Debit your expense account. Sorry, credit. Reduce, you're going to credit your expense account. But if they increase or they just occurred, you will debit your expense and salary account. Are we together? So these are the other laws, how you can debit correctly and credit correctly if perhaps debiting the receiver and crediting the giver is a bit difficult for you. But I believe that is the simplest way, knowing that the value, am I receiving value or am I giving value? If I'm receiving value, I will debit the account receiving the value. If I'm giving value, I will credit the account giving the value. Are we together? So these are the other ways you can know which account to debit and which account to do what to credit. Hope I'm making sense. That is my goal, that I make sense and that I'm able to understand what I'm teaching. Please, if you're learning something, give this girl some good love. Like, share, subscribe, and just encourage a friend that you know is having problem in accounting. Subscribe to this channel because in this channel, make accounting very, very, very easy, peasy for you. Okay, let's continue. So that is scenarios where you have to debit your account. The scenario where you have to credit your account, like I said, is if it's the reverse. If your assets are reducing, you have to dispose an asset, or your expenses are reducing, or you have income. Let's say you made a sales of 10,000 naira. Let me write that properly. So let's say you made a sales of 10,000 naira. Let me get my just that. So let's assume you made a sales of 10,000 naira. So let me clean this. So if you made a sales, for instance, of 10,000 naira, in that case, you have to what? Credit the account. So you sold the good to a customer on credit. So you're going to write debtor. No, we said customers that are called what? Debtors. You say debtors account. The customer, let's assume his name is John. Are we together? These are the cases where you have to what? Credit. And then in a case where by you increase the capital in your business, just as you may introduce, say, 60,000 naira extra into your business to help you run your business more. That is what capital. You would credit that account. So these are scenarios that would lead to you crediting an account when you have sales or when you have introduced more money to run your business. That is capital. So I have 50,000 naira here. The particular is what? Cash account. It occurred on the 1st of February. So these are the scenarios that will lead to you having to credit an account when you have a capital account or sales account, or you're giving something, like I said earlier, in the case of where we had our initial transaction here, Cash was the one giving. We have to credit the transaction. So once you know these laws, you're able to post correctly. You will know which account to debit, which account to credit. These are the things you just need to know what to debit and credit. Very easy. Debit the receiver of the value, or the giver, the receiver of the value, and credit the giver of the value. Also, if your assets are increasing or your expenses are increasing, you're going to what? Debit. And if your income are increasing, or you just occurred, or you have capital introduced to the business, or is increasing, you do what? Credit. So these are the accounts, or these are the guidelines on how to debit and how to credit, and by extension, how to post correctly. So once we're able to post correctly, the next thing we're going to do, we're going to do some examples, and then at the end of the day, we'll try to balance the account. So stay on with me. You can see that accounting is very easy. There are just certain principles guiding what you should do. Once you know the principles, it's not difficult. And if you put those principles like in real life situations, real life scenarios, you see that you won't find it difficult to understand accounting. Accounting, people find accounting difficult when they don't what understand it, when they think it's one big technology in the sky. Hey, accounting, accounting. But if you bring it down to common daily activity, you think about it like the way you're eating your rice and beans. It won't be difficult for you. At least you have seen with the scenarios I've given so far that it's not difficult. Just bring them down to real life situation. When you're given a question, the first thing you should ask yourself is, what does this transaction mean? What is the meaning? And if it still doesn't make sense to you, have a pictorial idea of what has happened in that business. Just imagine that a customer walks up to you and say, Mommy Jill, I want to buy 10 bags of cement. So that customer that has walked up to you is a customer. Mommy Jill is the one selling the product. And as I walked up to you and said, I want 10 bags of cement, and I have my cash, maybe 1 million naira, for instance, cash, and I paid 1 million naira. You have just paint that picture. I'm walking to you. You're the one selling the cement, right? I give you 10 million naira. For how many bags of cement? Maybe 100 bags of cement. Are we together? So now you already know who is giving the value, who is receiving the value, and value here is either cash or goods. So I am the one giving the value. I'm giving what? Cash. For the goods, I'm going to do what? Receive. So a sales have transpired by what happened. So I know that sales transpired, cash was given, and there was a customer. So which account do I open? Open was my cash account and my what? Sales account. So I will come to my book because I'm able to pen the story in my head. I'll say, okay, open my sales account, open my cash account. So now I've painted the scenario in my head. I understand what happened. That cash exchanged hands. Who paid the cash? Customer paid cash. And because of customer paid cash, I open what? My cash account. In that account, I'm going to do what? I'm going to what? Debit, because money have what? Coming. I receive what? Cash. So I'm going to do what? Debit by cash account. With the sum that I receive, how much is that? 1 million. Hey, 1 million. God Almighty. I want to be a millionaire. So I will debit this account. Now, sales occurred too. What did the salesperson do? The salesperson gave me what? 100 bags of what? Cement. A value have exchanged hands. Value has been given. And the law says what? You credit the giver. So you're going to do what? Credit this account. So you come to sales and say what? 1 million worth of goods. Where? 1 million. 1 million. This amount. Our formula, our content is the date, the particular, folio, and amount. The same thing here, date. Let's just do that for that particular. Trying to maximize my space. Folio and amount. So let's put that 1 million naira here. Just bear with me. 1 million. So this is my credit. So you're able to post correctly, knowing that yes, cash gave what a cash received 1 million, right? From the customer, right? And then the salesperson gave 100 bags of cement. So in my particulars, I'll now write the corresponding account, which will be my cash account here. Let's clean our folio because most time nothing is use folio. And I'll come here, date, particular, folio. So here I'll have what? Sales account. Are we together? So you can see once you're able to post correctly, you can see that it's very easy, it's not difficult. Understand the transaction. If it still doesn't make sense to you, imagine it in your head, draw a picture of what has transpired. You can ask which account is receiving cash or receiving the goods or receiving the value, who is giving the value, who is receiving the value. You now know the accounts to debit and credit. And by virtue of what happened, you know the accounts to open. Like this, you were told that yes, customer, I came to the shop and I paid 1 million naira for what? Sales of what? For the purchase of what? Some cement. But the one selling, so you must have sold to me. Who is the other person to you? I'm the customer. I paid what? Cash. Because I paid cash, I don't open my cash account. There's no need to open customer accounts. You can only open a customer account if the customer is owing. You now have debtors account, but I'm not owing. I brought my million to you to buy what I want to buy. So there's no need for what debtors account. You cut that separate. You just have your cash account. Are we together? So you now debit your cash account, who is receiving their value for the business owner, and credit the person supplying the goods. You can see to apply the principle. You know who to debit because of what transpired in the business. Who is receiving the value? Who is giving the value? Are we together? All right. I want us to do some core examples. I talked about these examples in our previous slide, but we didn't solve it totally in the sense that I did not draw a full account because of space. So today I would want us to see how we can solve the questions properly. Now that we have more space, let's see how we can solve about 2 questions or 3 if time permits us, and then balance the account because that is our objective. One of our objectives today is to balance the account. So I'll solve question 1 here and question 2 here, and see whether we can do questions 3 and 4. Are we together? Give me a moment, let me just check something. Alright, so now let's solve the first question. We're told that Mr. Shagun started business with what? 500,000 naira. So now let's paint the scenario in our head. Mr. Shagun started a business, meaning that Mr. Shagun is like a one-man business with how much? 500,000 naira. Give me a second, please. I'll be right back. Alright, so we have a new guest in town. Say hi, Mama. Say hi, camera. Hi. Hi, good girl. Let's solve our question. So we're told that Mr. Shagun started a business with us 500,000 naira. So that means let's do the picture first of all. So Mr. Shagun is a businessman, right? He wants to start a business with how much? 500,000 naira. Which accounts are going to be involved? The capital. Capital is the account when you want to start a business. And the total is what? 500,000 naira cash. So that we're going to open 2 accounts, okay? Capital account Let's say cap for short. Ah, then we have our cash account. This is our ledger. Two sides. Debit on my left hand side, credit on my right hand side. So ledger the content for each. Each has a date, the narration of what happened, folio, and the amount. Let me put my naira to make this easy. But what should be the amount actually? So I have the same thing on this other side. The date of the transaction, particulars of what happened, and then the amount. Because nothing is in full, I want to just keep that part. But normally it should be there. Let me do a column for it. Just trying to get space. So now that I've drawn this, let's do the same thing here. Date, particulars, amount, naira. Let's put our F for folio. My ink is wonderful. The same thing here, date of the transaction, particulars, that is the narration of what happened. Let's just write F, then the amount. So now we have drawn our account. Now, Sarah Bill, how much did he print? 500,000. So in this case, capital is the one given the value. True or false? True. So we're going to put the 500,000 now on the credit side here because it's given 500k. And cash is what? Receiving. So we'll come here and put what? 500k because you're receiving the money. What you put in your particulars? The corresponding account. So the corresponding account, particular account is what our cash account. So you come here and write cash account. You come here and write capital account. That's the corresponding account, that particular. You have capital account. When did this transaction occur? Let's add it occurred on the 1st of March. So you come and write 1/3/2026. The same thing here, 1/3/2026. So you can see, very easy. We've posted correctly. We've opened our account and posted correctly. Let's do the second one. Right, let's do the third one. Why? Because I want us to balance an account. And I don't want this video to be too long. We've already spent some time. So because of that, let me just do one that's going to help, that we need cash so that we can balance our account. And you can see how to balance account, which is one of our purpose for today's lecture. Alright, so we said sold goods worth 50,000 naira cash. So let's paint the scenario. There was a sale of how much? 50,000 naira cash. I'm going to open two accounts. Which accounts? Sales account. And open cash account. So let's assume that this transaction occurred on the 2nd of March. 2nd of March 2026. Are we together? So, which account do we debit? You debit the what? Receiver of the value. Credit the what? Giver of the value. So who is giving value here? Sales is giving what? Goods, that is value, right? So you're going to credit your sales account. While cash is receiving. The customer that came to your shop is giving you what? 50,000 naira. You're receiving that sum. So you're going to what? Debit your cash account because you debit the receiver of the value and credit the giver of the value. So we're going to do what? Debit our cash account. So we'll come here and say line to separate the two accounts, debit and credit, debit and credit, debit and credit. Are we together? So the amount is what? 50,000 now. Let's put the amount here. This for the heading. Let me clean this so that we have more space. Yeah, of course. That was us to. Let me come down more. Since we now have more space. Let me come down more. So let's call it our cash account. We now have more space. Let's separate the line. So we're going to debit. Here is the amount. 50,000 naira. You debit. While you credit sales account, how much? 50,000 naira under the amount. Naira 50,000 naira. Are we together? So your date should be here. Particulars. My space is too small. Sorry about that. As I'm squeezing and squashing. Maybe I will clean here. Right? Let's let all of this go. As if we know this law, right? We are now a way. So let's clean up here. So let me read. Let me do this better so that you can see. Hey, teacher Mesoma, I beg you. Let's make the board wider. All right. So this is our sales. Okay. Let's do it properly. We need space. And let's call this cash. My inks are misbehaving. My barrels are misbehaving. So let me clean this because I'm going to finish the information later. And I don't want to please in a rush. But let me just do my debit here, right? Credit here. So the line separates it. We now have space, right? Let's manage our space. Let me divide so I don't get choked up. So cash on the debit side, we said how much? 50,000 naira. So amount. How much is it? 50,000 naira. And we are selling how much? Amount to come here now. 50,000 naira. Yes, darling. Sorry, yeah? No, mommy. Here you go. So let us do other content. We have the date, the particulars, which is the narration of what happened, and the folio. This should be up, not underneath because this is up. So let's say sales up here. God, my ink is just. Oh, please bear with me, my dear. I don't like to give excuse, but as the case is now. So the date of the transaction. God. This line should come down to demarcate the particulars, okay, folio, and amount. Hope you can see this clearly, So, particular we have what the corresponding account, which is what your cash account. So, come here and write cash. Let me see and get a better ink. Please bear with me 1 minute. Hey, Mama, sure you stand, so that mommy can do this thing well. Carrying you and this is not working so fine. Oh, God Almighty. Please, biscuit. I'm coming here. I'll give you biscuit here. Let's add some ink in our marker so that our students can see clearly because the virus are just alright. Here we have. We'll put some ink in here now. Oh, hey, leave it, madam. Take water, mama. Drink water. Alright, we put some ink in our biro, so it should be clearer now. That is my hope. So, where are we? So our amount, so let's do this properly. Okay, Mama? Thank you, darling. Thank you, sweetheart. We're going to have our date of transaction, the particulars, the folio, and then the amount, which should be in Naira. Let's put this like this, amount. This Naira sign should be underneath amount. Mama, Biro. Let me give my madam Biro. Ew, mess up my sugar on Biro. I'm gonna take Biro. Take, go and write your own. Take. Right, yeah? You see our students is here. Right there, yeah? Right, Mama. Okay, so I was saying, so we now have our account looking better. So this is our date, the transaction for the particulars, the folio number, and then the amount, which is Naira. So this is how you do your account properly. You can see it has more space. So let me do the same thing on this other side. Let me clean this better. Let me clean this side. Let's have a better view. Now that we have more space and our biro is better, let's give us a better view. So we now have what sales account. Divide into two parts. You have your date, the particulars, folio, and the amount, which is our Naira. So we get the same thing on this side. Date of transaction, the corresponding account in this particular folio, which is just a page, and then the amount are Naira. So we know that we have what 50,000 Naira here. DR for debit, CR for credit. DR, madam, mama, what do you want? Eh? Come and write here. Yeah? Mama, get and write, please. So this is how you do your account for this particular question. We have seen that so now let us do one more thing. Let's write the name of the corresponding account under the particulars. In this case, is that what? Cash account. So you write cash account here. Cash AC. Are we together? You come and write what sales account. So we have posted correctly. We have posted what correctly. We have opened our account. We have posted what correctly. So solve two questions. Question 1 and question 3. Now I want us to balance the accounts, which is one of the objectives of today's class. Teach you how to what balance your account. Now to balance your account, after you've done your posting, let's assume we just had these two questions to solve. Now I want to balance our accounts, right? To balance your account simply means to balance something means that what is on the left hand side must be equal to what is on the right hand side. Do you understand? So this assume you have 50,000 Naira here on my right hand. It means I must have what 50,000 Naira on my right hand too. Are we together? Just where you see a weighing balance. For a weighing balance to balance, the weight on both sides must be what equal. So the same thing with our account. For our account to balance, the amount we have on both sides must be equal. And so to balance the sales account, for instance, it means that since I have 50,000 Naira on my credit side, I should have 50,000 Naira on the debit side. Same with your cash account. Since I have 50,000 Naira on the debit, I should have 50,000 naira on the credit. Now, how do you make this happen? There are steps to follow. The first thing you have to do is you have to ask yourself, what's the final figure at both sides of the account? Like now, I have nothing here, so I have what? Zero. Are we together? So that's the final figure here. At this moment, I have zero here, I have 50 here. So let us write this observation somewhere down here. Hope you can see me. So we have the debit side and the credit side, right? Credit side have what? 50,000 naira. Debit have what? Zero. That's the first step. First step is to write the total amount we have on both sides. The total amount have here is what? 50. There's only one transaction we have so far. And here has what? Nothing, zero. Now the next thing is to find the difference between the two. Difference means subtraction. So you do what? 50 minus 0. And that will give us what? 50,000 naira. So let's do that step 2. So this is step 1. Step 2 is the difference. 50,000 naira minus 0. That will give us what? 50,000 naira. That's the difference. Step 3. You're going to take this balance and put it on the side that has the smaller amount. Smaller amount being here. Here is 0 now. Should be that is smaller than 50,000 naira. So we're going to put us 50,000 naira on this side. So we'll come to amount and put us 50,000 naira. But the corresponding narration that will tell us what this 50,000 naira is for is called what? Balance carried down. So under your particulars, you're going to have what? Balance carried down. Carried down the short form. CD is the short form for what? Carry down. Because we just carry down the balance. We didn't cook up the figure. We just carry the balance from this side to this side. We call it balance carried down. Because we want the account to balance. So you must do these procedures first of all. We have explained it. So once you put that balance carried down, you will notice that at the end of the day, the two accounts will what? Balance. So at the end of the day, you're going to have what? 50,000 naira here on the left hand side, and on the right hand side, you're going to have what? 50,000 naira. The next thing you're going to do, you're going to bring this balance carry down and bring it to the opposite side. Are we together? So when I say bring, I mean you carry it as it is like this. Just carry from here to here. Here. Where they say copy and paste in computer. You copy and what? Paste. But the only difference is that the name will now change from balance carry down to balance brought down. I know that this part might be a bit, twisting in the brain. But just know that madam, come out of that switch. Just know that the first one is called what? That's my madam. The first one is what? Carried down. You're carrying it down. Are you together? They are both the same thing, carrying down and brought down. But the difference is that one is the first of all, you must carry it down. After you have carried down, you now bring it forward. Are we together? So we have carried it down, you now come here and put it in the same thing, but now to have a different date. And most time balances are done at the end of the month. So we know that just as this transaction was done, we said 2nd of March, right? They just took our light. It's not my fault. Bear with me, I'm almost wrapping up the class. So therefore, it means that this balance carried and the date going to carry was to be 31st March. So that is the last date of the month. Are we together? Now I will now bring this figure down. On the opposite side is a procedure. First of all, you balance the account. After you balance the account, you now move it to the other side. Are we together? So you move this from here to here. Now this equal sign is done on that means you close the account. You want to see a double line like it means the account has been closed. So let's now move this to this side. By the time we move it here under the amount, we have 50,000 naira. We now call this particular balance what? Brought down. and the date to be what? 1st of April. You have balanced this account properly. This is how you balance your account. So let me recap. The first thing is you add the two sides at the end of your transaction for each account. What I did for this account, I ought to do it for this account and this account and every account. So the first thing is you first of all get the final figure on both sides of the account. That is the left hand side and the right hand side. That is your debit side and your credit side. Let me open the window so we can see, because NEPA just did their very best now. And for us to see better, I have to do this. Madam, hope you're seeing a lot more better. So the first thing you do is to balance the account. That is, once the final figure at the end of the month, we have 50,000 naira here. Here we have 0 initially. You now get the difference. Find the difference between the two sides, between the left hand side and the right hand side. And difference means you're going to subtract. The higher part is what? The right hand side here. The left hand side had what? 0. So we'll do 50,000 minus 0, give us what? 50,000 naira. Now that difference that we have, take it to the what? The side that has the smallest value or the smaller value, which is our left hand side. It had 0 before. So you put that figure now. Now because you're not picking up figures, you must write what the figure is for. You call it what? Balance carried down. It's the balance that you carry from this side. That's why it's called balance carry. You carry it from somewhere, right? From this side. You brought it here. It's now called balance carried down. You're bringing it down so that the two accounts you were balanced. That's why you have to bring it down. To balance carried down. With that, you can say that both sides will now be equal. You now have 50-50. You're done with it. To go a step further, you now carry that same figure to the opposite side, and it now becomes BD. So the first one is CD. Just remember that your C comes before your D. The way that we have B before C in accounting, C comes before B. To help us remember it faster. Are we together? So we now call it balance what? Carried, balance brought down. And to start with the month of the first day of the following month. Are we together? Hope that makes sense to us. Let me solve one more question, or rather balance one more account. Now let's assume that, madam, you're doing very well. Let's assume we're to balance our cash account. And because I'm making assumptions, I want us to just assume that in addition to this sales account we had here, we had another transaction that made this credit side have 20,000 naira. What will make us to give out 20,000 naira? Let's say we paid for something. Let's say we paid for a loan. So let me come here and write what? Loan account. So that we can know what the money was used for, or the corresponding accounts for it. I want us to see another scenario where we can balance accounts. Okay, so now if we have to balance this account, let's assume this transaction occurred on the 2nd of March. If this occurred on the 5th of March, now for me to balance this account, the same thing we're going to do. Here has 50, here has 30. To find the what difference between the biggest and the smallest. Yes, there. You want water? Eh? Mama, I want water. Water. Eh? Barrel. You have barrel in your hand. Now come and write here. Right here. Okay. So we get the difference between the two sides. Here is 50. Here is 20. We want the account to what? Balance. So we subtract 50 minus we now give what? 30. Okay. So if we do 50 minus 20, now give what? 30,000 naira. So you come and write what? 30,000 naira. Now the particulars, the narration, the word balance what? Carried down. We carry that balance from here to here so that the account was balance. So we call this what balance carried down. With this, the account was balance because our aim is to show that the two sides was balance. 50,000 naira here. We bring this down 50,000 naira. And like I said, the balance account at the end of the month. So the date that will be here will most likely there's a first March. Now, to further finalize the account, I will now move the balance I have here to this side, on the opposite side, and to now have the name balance brought down. And that will be the beginning of the following month. That is 1st of April. You write balance brought down. The amount will be what? 30,000 naira. We have come to the end of our class. And this is how you would balance your account. How? I believe you have learned how to balance your account. You better start subscribing and liking this video because there is no account. There is no video on YouTube like this one that will give you value for your time. And so therefore, I want to encourage you to subscribe so that you cannot miss out. You will know how to be an excellent accountant, how to post your transaction without thinking, how to balance your account without confusion. My brother, share this video with a friend. Alright, just trying to start up our video. I want to thank you so very much for making our time to join us in today's class. I believe you have been able to be, or rather you have been convinced and not confused that balancing your account is very, very, very easy. Alright, we call it a wrap. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and do all the good things for your baby girl. If you know you had value for your time, if you received value, that means you debited your account. And I'll credit my account because I gave value. It means that you should do what? Subscribe to this channel. Having so much fun. Alright, in our next class, we're going to take this a step further. We'll do more examples, and then we will now introduce a new topic. It's a secret. I'm not telling you now. Just want to, keep you hooked to my channel. All right, thank you so much for spending time with me. I wish you all a very beautiful and a lovely day. And I want to end with singing a dancing song. Amma, sing for us. Sing for us. Dance for us. Ooh, ooh, ooh. All I have is Jesus in my life. Yeah. All I have is Jesus in my life. Yeah. All my days I will praise the Lord. Amen.